housekeeping note. So because of this tech situation we have going on, we don't have the WebEx or the big microphone recording. So if you could just speak clearly and kind of project towards the little recorder we have. All we're relying on is that and needing some excellent note taking.
So this is not live streaming
We're
today?
not live streaming or
So
WebEx.
you can say whatever you want.
We have no idea.
So this was the update that screwed you?
No,
No.
This is a totally separate thing?
it happens
Someone
sometimes.
clicked on
And
it.
somebody clicked on a link on Thursday, right before like everything else
Yeah,
happened.
you think all those fishing lessons would teach us not
But
to
so,
click
so
on
the, apparently it was a pretty icky one because IT just completely cut the internet. So we can't
We
get
have
online.
access
We
to
can
it.
internally email, but that's it. We can't get on the internet, we can't externally email.
Wow, that's whack.
And so this morning they had us change our password, so we thought that maybe that was gonna be like the start of coming back. And I saw that they did like a test stream last night, but still we got nothing.
Does it keep external messages from coming through to
Yes.
city employees?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, that explains.
Yeah, that's why you said the things I said. I said replied like, yeah, I'm going to be there next week, and then you told me that was stressful.
Yeah. Well, because I got responses from I think 4 of you, so I was like, okay, we have 4, but then I was thinking like, well, if someone has changed their mind, I'm not gonna do it. So I was like, I'll just call everyone.
And like I was working from home starting like Friday, which is when everything went down, so I was just at home.
Oh,
Nothing.
you had no idea what was going on.
No, I couldn't access anything.
Yeah.
So I like texted like Christopher and I said, hey, I swear, like I don't know what's
Yeah.
I would be
happening.
working if I could.
And he's like, no, we have an outage. And I was like, okay, I'm just letting you know. So yeah.
So anyways, we can go ahead and get started, but everything's gonna be a little bit weird.
Sweet.
That's what I got.
That pretty much sums up 2024.
Yup.
Well, then welcome one and all to the July 25th installment of UIDRB. Hopefully everyone's in the right spot. I say that every month. You ready to be sworn in?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Stephanie Kensler, Planning Commission. Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. Would you like to call the roll?
Sure thing. Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reeds,
Yes.
Mr. Sublett,
Yes.
we do not have Mr. Semansky, and Mr. Mather.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Did everyone have an opportunity to look over the meeting minutes from last meeting?
Yep.
Any revisions, any changes? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
I will second.
That was a motion by Ms. Gunzelman, seconded by Mr. Reeds. Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Mr. Sublett,
Yes.
and Mr. Mather.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ready for the first case?
Yes. One thing I just wanted to let our applicants know, in the same vein of those tech issues, we're not sure when they're going to be resolved. If you log on to the UIDRB website, you'll see a message there about, we do have a box down on the front desk, like for anybody who needs to bring in hard copies of anything or, what have you. But generally, you're used to getting an email from us after the meeting saying what happened, and if there is a COA that we owe you or a letter of recommendation. We obviously can't do that right now. We can still do COAs through Excella. You're just not going to be able to access them because the Citizens Access Portal is down. So what we can do for any cases that are approved tonight that need certificates of approval, we'll just have to work with you individually via phone to make sure we get your permanent set of drawings if you have those ready now. If it's going to be a while, God willing, this will be back up soon. But we'll just have to kind of work with you non-traditionally to make sure we get your permit set, and then once we're ready to issue the COA, we can upload it in Excella, and then building and zoning can access it that way. And then we'll be happy to print like a hard copy for you just so you have it. So just don't be on the lookout for that email. and then we'll work with you offline to try to get anything else you may need to move your projects along. Okay? All right. First case.
Okay, these are in a different format now. Is this a new thing? Did we talk about this and I just spaced it?
Yes.
I'm going to just call the address, 2169 North High Street.
Yes, yes. So now that we are in Excella, it is assigning, and basically we're not accepting, well, we weren't until right now because of the tech issues, accepting paper applications anymore. So these are system-generated project numbers now.
I'm recusing.
Okay.
So COA 24-00050. The applicant is requesting review and action on expansion of a rear patio. The project includes expanding the size of the patio by 658 square feet from 988 square feet to 1,646 square feet. Replace the existing fencing with a 6-foot black powder-coated steel with black privacy mesh, new bistro string lights along the fence, and picnic and bistro tables for seating. The submission includes existing condition images, site plan, and material specifications. Go through those materials quickly. So I saw this is sideways. Here's the property, the parking lot to the rear, there's the alley, and then this just shows the patio area and then the new patio area. And then we just have some of the material detail here, the planters they are proposing along the fence. Here's that fence detail, the site plan, well, the plan showing where the fence will go, I apologize. The string lights, here's the site plan, stands porta potties, which we'll get into momentarily. So upon review, this application was heard by the UIDRB at the June 2024 hearing. At that meeting, a variance for a parking reduction was recommended for approval. The design portion of the application was continued. The board requested the applicant evaluate alternate screening materials for the fence, and if none was identified, that the applicant bring a sample of the proposed material to the next meeting. The board also asked the applicant to identify a solution to better screen the portable bathrooms and consider incorporating some landscaping elements if possible. The applicant is proposing the same fence screening material, has added hanging planters along the fence, and removed the portable bathrooms from the site plan. Staff notes that the applicant does not need UIDRB approval for the portable bathrooms as they are not a permanent fixture on the site and only brought in for larger special events. Therefore, staff recommends support as the proposal is generally consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends outdoor spaces that complement indoor dining and drinking uses with clearly demarcated boundaries using high-quality materials. The plan also recommends that lighting be high quality and complement and enhance the space. The proposal is consistent with these recommendations. As such, staff recommends support without condition. Thank you.
Thank you. I assume we're going to be conversing a bit, so I need to swear you in. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very good. Do you have anything you'd like to add to the city's review? Of the
Yes, I actually do have an updated, Steph had asked me for this before, where the planters were going in the location, but I think due to the tech outage, so I made sure I brought a printed copy, so I looked through the deck, and I emailed you back, and I was like, could this be updated? But then hearing this, I know why. So I wanted to make sure I brought a copy so you guys can take a look.
Certainly.
And this is also a sample of the screening material.
Great.
Yeah. My wife was unhappy that an Amazon box showed up that wasn't for her after Prime Day. So I'm already in deep with that one. But yeah, the mesh it's like pretty high quality stuff. It stretches, it goes. We've had that on the chain link that was in place for when we had the temporary approval for about 3 years and hadn't had to replace a panel, no tears, no nothing.
You just tied to the fence?
Yeah, it was with like very heavy duty cable ties. Like we learned quickly that just regular zip ties dry up, snap off, and we were doing it about every week. So we footed the bill to get the heavier duty ones, and it worked like a dream.
How do you plan on attaching the planters to like the metal fencing with the mesh? Like, have you kind of problem solved that?
Yeah, so the mesh goes on the outside of the fence.
Oh.
The planters hanging to the inside of the fence. They
Yeah.
just hook over the top, and then you can bolt together.
Okay.
So it pinches the top, and then even the hanging mounting hardware on them won't be visible because they'll be screened in as well from the
Yeah, so-
outside.
But they're screwed to the fence, right?
Yeah, it's a bracket that hooks over
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't go into the physical fence, so we don't have to put holes in it, but it'll bracket with
Yeah.
a metal brace.
Okay, word. I appreciate you adding some like landscaping things. I know last time that was something
Yeah.
that was difficult to imagine with the age and the history of your clientele, but I just appreciate the nod. So.
Oh, I mean, it worked out great because our biggest thing was it worked out because it's out of reach. So now it's like they would have to get up and be intently like ripping things out, which
Yeah.
I know is probably never going to happen, but it takes it out of sight, out of mind. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be nice, and it'll be a nice addition to just have a little pop of color around
Yeah,
it.
sweet. Great.
So do anyone have any other questions or comments on the proposal?
Thanks.
I'm acknowledging this as an irrelevant question, but I'm just curious. A month ago with the Porta-Johns, were they intended to stay in place at that point, or were they always something that would only be brought in for
special.
Yeah, no, they're only special event, like in the winter, they're not there. We have football season is when the main need for them is on those Saturdays, because that's the heavier traffic out on that patio, and it just, the way the restrooms are set up inside, the men's room's door is right inside the patio entrance, so if it gets backed up, then it's like there's a line of people and it creates this big, like, funnel chaos. So that's when we first decided to add them, and then we just had them for bigger events, Buckeye Country Superfest, stuff like that, and it really, for the cost of them, really wasn't that bad to really handle the volume on those days, so.
So they're
it was
there
a
for
good
the
go.
entire football season?
They don't, only like, if we have like 4 home games in a row,
Oh, okay.
we'll keep them there. But if there's like 3 away games, like we don't want the Porta-Johns back there like stinking up the place, essentially. It's not a great aesthetic for it.
Anyone else? Do you have a motion?
I move to approve application COA 2400050.
I will second that.
That is a motion to approve by Ms. Gundelman, seconded by Mr. Reeves. Mr. Fleming recused himself. Ms. Gundelman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
Mr. Suplet,
Yes.
and Mr. Mettler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, I appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
Which takes us to new applications. COA 2400054, 1479, 1497 North High Street.
North High Street. The applicant is requesting review and action on a proposed new residential building. The project includes a new 13-story, approximately 157.5 feet residential building with 450 beds across 183 units, 0 on-site vehicle parking spaces, 8 bicycle racks, and then demolition of 3 potentially contributing structures, a 2-story brick mixed-use structure from 1920, a single-story commercial structure built in 1915, and then a commercial structure that was built in 1943. The submission includes details of the council variance request, mapping diagrams, site, lighting, and landscaping plans, floor plans, contextual and inspirational images, material specifications, sections, window and door schedules, as well as renderings. Materials quickly. Some of this we've already seen. You all certainly reviewed the variance information a few months ago, so that's just what this section of the packet is. Here's just the site data. This is all zoning related things. We have the massing diagram, site context, contextual images, massing again. There are those inspirational images, interior and exterior. And then we're starting to get into the materials and systems they're proposing. We have details here on the different metal panels, the window systems, the timber cladding, things like that. We have the material board here showing the brick, metal panels in different colors. And then the different materials out facing the different directions, so we can see how the light affects kind of the colors and the shadows. And then we have some sections. Zoom out a little bit. More detailing. We have our window and door schedule here. Some of those fixtures, benches, light fixtures, we have that detail as well now. Some interior photos, we have this progression, how the design has evolved over the review period here, going back to the first review in March. And here is the detailed site plan. And then, materials outside. We have a landscaping plan now, exterior lighting plan, And shows fixtures. Here is the plan of that second floor and the front porch area. Floor plans, all the floor plans. Third plan, we have our elevations, which call out the materials. And then we have the renderings. And then the back half of the packet is the spec sheets and some of the cut sheets for the materials. So with that, the application was heard by the UIDRB at the March, April, May, and June 2024 hearings. At the most recent hearing, the board recommended the applicant continue refining the articulation on the north and west facades and to consider adding art at the High Street entrance. It was also recommended that the applicant consider materiality and lighting at the primary entrance to ensure the space is safe. The applicant has generally responded to this feedback with the revised submission. The proposal is generally consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends that new construction utilize high-quality materials, building articulation, and a high level of transparency on the first floor, street trees, and public art. Landscaping and lighting that are appropriate and enhance the project are also recommended. The proposal is consistent with these standards. The plan also recommends preservation and rehabilitation of existing buildings. As such, planning requests the applicant complete a HABs light report in coordination with the planning division prior to demolition of the 1920 building there at the corner. Lastly, the plan calls for a building's height and mass to be mitigated through the use of setbacks, quality architecture, and materials. Staff notes that the applicant has provided an additional setback along the rear property line in lieu of stepping the building back on the upper floors. A shade study has also been provided to demonstrate the minimal difference a rear setback would have made on the surrounding properties. Further, staff notes that the buildings along East 9th that would be most impacted are also owned by this applicant. As such, staff recommends conditional approval with the condition being that the applicant complete the HABs light report for the 1920 building at the corner of 9th and High and submit that to the planning division for review and acceptance prior to demolition of that building. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to have to swear you in. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. All of you?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to provide any additional information?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm probably a new face that you haven't seen before. Amy Haney is our project manager, and she's currently on vacation, so I'm filling in for her while she's away. What's that?
Shame on her. But
Yeah, she's earned it. Well, much well-deserved, and hope she's on a beach somewhere. But nonetheless, thank you for your time this afternoon. I've been heavily involved with the project, kind of behind the scenes, in assisting her and the rest of our team throughout the duration of the design, so I'm pretty well up to speed and informed about what's being proposed in this package. I think if we can maybe rewind the deck a little bit, I'll kind of walk you through what's been added since the last time that you guys had seen the project back in June.
Almost the beginning?
Maybe slide 14 was probably a good spot to pick up.
Yep.
There we go. So some physical samples were here last month, but since then we've been able to acquire the remaining materials that are being proposed on the project. So I believe you guys had an opportunity before to see the metal panel, the ribbed panel that we're proposing. But since then we've brought some physical samples that are partially on the table and down on the floor for some of the window systems that are being proposed up at the residential floors and down on the first and second floors in the main public and amenity areas, as well as brick and the mass timber CLT panels that were going to be exposed along the columns and the soffits. You can see in that rendering there. So I wanted to bring those to your attention. We can kind of hit the next couple of slides here. As Stephanie noted, this is the material board that's being proposed, just showing that everything complements each other pretty nicely, and showing the different impacts that these materials, depending on their orientation, slight variation, just so that everybody's aware with what we're showing here. And feel free to interrupt if there's any comments. We can keep going. some typical building sections here. I think the key point here is to show kind of the different varying parapet heights that are being proposed on the building, and that's actually one of the items that we've refined a little bit since the previous meeting. That we noted that the east facade was well put together. I think proportions aligned and such. But here we're showing the different parapet heights. The right wall section being at the northeast corner, the left wall section at the secondary corners, and then the middle wall section there articulating the reveals that are being proposed on the project. We can hop over to the next couple of slides here. Some typical exterior assemblies that are being proposed on the project, aligned with the deliverables required for the certificate of appropriateness. An associated exterior window and door schedule, articulating some of the windows at the residential units, as well as the ground floor that was mentioned before. And so, in response to some comments received last month, we've illustrated the different light fixtures that are being utilized on the project. Wall sconces along High Street. You can see there the cylindrical fixture on the left is being proposed throughout the podium. The little square wall sconce is for those townhouses that are a little more small scale and intimate for those entries. And we're proposing a linear fixture at the main entry to create a focal point and a little bit of interest to provide sufficient lighting at the main entry to the property, as well as some downlights that will be located above the townhouse entries and along the backside on Wall Street. I believe this slide has been included in previous presentations. And you can see that the progress that's really come to shape since we first saw everybody in March. We're really excited the way it's come together and feel really good about the evolving design that's presented here. This next slide just shows existing conditions and a demolition plan. We were seeking, checked the box for both the demolition plan approval as well as a certificate of appropriateness. So that's what's illustrated on this plan here. And then probably the next plan shows a little more detail. That's just the site plan from our civil engineer. But this plan here, I think, has a lot of content. The landscape plan, I'm sorry, the next slide. That's new information that wasn't included last time. So, one of the comments that we got last time was specific to landscaping and streetscape that's being proposed on the project. So our team has kind of gone through the design a little bit more in depth, and you can see here the landscaping that's being proposed along High Street and 9th. Just from the High Street side, responding to that busier kind of main street, and that kind of maintaining the High Street corridor there, and then the smaller landscaping areas along 9th Street, 9th Avenue, responding to the smaller scale townhouse entries, creating a little privacy screening at those entries, and continuing that expression that is the smaller scale residential along 9th Avenue, and then wrapping the corner along Wall Street there. And then these next couple of slides just show in more detail where the proposed light fixtures are being located. Those were reflected in that exhibit a little further up. And some renderings to show that the main entry and the rideshare lobby and the bike storage entries are sufficiently lit at night to mitigate any concerns that are related to security. This next slide shows a little more detail about what's being proposed on the second floor, that front porch that Stephanie had mentioned, and the courtyard that's in between the two wings of the tower. The floor plans have been pretty well intact at this point. I think previous packages, they were more blocking diagrams. Now these plans are further developed So you can start to see the townhouse plans, some of the programming in the main lobby and amenity areas, and some back of house programming. And then jumping up to that second floor where we've got additional amenity spaces, the wraparound porch, the courtyard, and you can start to see more detail with the unit layouts. And these next two slides are just our typical residential floor plans and an associated roof plan. So these next handful of slides, the elevations are new relative to what was presented in the previous meeting. This breaks down just each facade, the materials that are being applied. What we heard last time was the east facade proportionally worked and was successful, and just some consideration to refining the articulation at the top of the tower and some of the vertical reveals that were being introduced to the massing. And so we've fine-tuned that a little bit, adjusting parapet heights, continuing that expression of the tower to the top two floors. And then if you march around to those other couple of facades, you can see there the south facade and that skewed portion in the middle, that's the courtyard. And then applying those moves to both the west facade, which you see here, that's slightly different from what was shown last month. The reveals are, again, refined a little bit. Window placement is slightly adjusted, and the expression at the top of the tower is refined in response to what was working for us on the east facade. Some inner elevations here of the courtyard. You can see those red dashed rectangles are areas that we're proposing for an art installation or mural to add some interest in a focal point for residents. And then just some overall renderings, updated renderings from that reflect the elevations that were shown. And these renderings are accurately reflecting the landscaping that's being proposed throughout the perimeter of the site. So you can see there the street trees along 9th and some of the low plantings, and then the additional landscaping along High Street.
For us, I mean, that photo from the development standpoint, I know a lot of the conversation was talking about the safety and the darkness of the entry and so forth. So with the guidance that was given at the last month's meeting, and then when the team came back and the way they incorporated the lighting across the top and integrated into the micro CLT and so forth, we were just really pleased as punch on that, to see that, because we thought that really articulated the graining of the timber itself, and it brought into an element that we didn't really envision. So to see that brought into that, we thought it was a very clever and way to light that space and bring it to life in a way that we didn't envision. So give a lot of DLR a lot of creative applause on that one, because we were very impressed by that.
I think that sums up the changes. We're definitely interested to hear everybody's feedback.
Who would like to start? Or shall I call them?
I mean, I have a question. I was trying to figure it out based on this beautiful packet that y'all put together. There's a lot of great information here. Did the windows open? I'm sorry, that was already something that was discussed.
Yes,
I saw screens, but I just wanted to make sure.
The residential windows are operable.
Okay, sweet. And then my second question is, I know that you own the property next to, or the developer owns the property next to it, but I was still trying to figure out, I know obviously Gateway has parking across the street, but I am still a little concerned about there not being an ADA accessible parking spot at all on the property, so I didn't know, like, logistic-wise, how does it just ruin the entire design to add in 2 spots, or did I miss
No,
What are
we're
the-
working with the city on providing ADA accessible parking along the street.
Ninth?
Yep, Ninth. Yep. Yep, right through there.
Okay, and how is that process going? Like, are they?
It's well, I mean, they're open to it. Yeah, the city's been very receptive to it and so forth. We just have to work through the details of it as part of our parking plan and so forth.
So then I was wondering, do we have, because my worry is to like approve the project before we know whether that's gonna happen. So like how does that process kind of work? And maybe you all might know, but I know on this sheet it says 0 spots, and so I just didn't want to say like, yeah, go forward, and then the city not actually work out with that.
Well, the variance for no parking on the site was already recommended for approval by this group. And those spaces on the street would not be dedicated to this building, correct? They would
Correct.
just be the addition of accessible spaces in proximity.
Yes.
So they could kind of like revamp that so that it's more accessible parking is available in that particular location or no?
Is there already on-street parking right there? And
There
they're
is.
just talking about
Making it-
them accessible
Yeah,
spaces.
making them accessible spaces.
I
That's
think
what
it's
we're.
also, ADA requires accessible parking if you have parking, but it doesn't require that you provide accessible parking. So if you have 0 parking to begin with, there's no requirement to provide accessible parking. So I think you raise a good point, but it's sort of, I think the minute we agree that they don't need parking, you kind of can't hold them to having to provide accessible parking. That's kind of my take on it.
I mean, I'm only going to say this because the sheet's up right now, but I have other comments. But as it relates to the accessible parking issue, I would just instruct your landscape architect or urban designer that they're going to have to modify this plan to, because if you do an accessible soil, you're going to need a ramp that's like either in front or behind it. So these planters, I suspect, are not going to correspond to where that's going to actually happen. So that's going to have to be modified.
I mean, I think I would, yeah, and I know y'all are here looking for a certificate of appropriateness, but approval. I would say compared to what we've asked of other applicants, the CD set's a little thin. And I get it, y'all working through stuff, but generally what we've asked for is reasonably developed represented wall sections and significant exterior details. And I think part of the reason I raise this is if you look at the wall sections, for example, the third wall section on the one all the way to the right, so down where the cursor is, it doesn't tell me a whole lot about the treatment of the window at that level, but if I scroll 5 sheets over, let's see, if I go to the rendering at that area, it shows me some articulation that suggests that there's some stuff going on. So, yeah. Keep going on. Maybe so. It's a big package. Yeah, go. You're actually going the right way. I think it's all the way at the end, isn't it? You know what? Go to sheet 20. Yeah, it's zoom in on the rendering. So the render is nice, and there's a horizontal profile here that pops from the edge of the mooring panel. There are returns here that create kind of defined edges along here, and it suggests a certain kind of treatment for the openings and stuff. None of that shows up in the wall sections and the details, so totally hope you're doing the renderings. The renderings look great, but in the absence of something documenting that, we don't have assurance that's actually what you're going to build. And if we approve the document set without something documenting that, and it gets built without it, and we're like, wow, what happened? You did great renderings, we loved it. And we're like, oh yeah, we never meant to do that. So I think the thing to keep in mind is for us, the document set is meant to record what you're gonna build. And, so we don't need anything inside the envelope, and we don't need every little thing. We don't care about rope penetration details or other random stuff, but we want to see at least enough that says, oh yeah, you're going to treat the windows and you're going to trim them out in a certain way. And there's enough there that we've got some assurance that what you showed us in the renderings is indeed what you're going to build. I mean, other than that, I think the package looks good. I mean, the materials look good. But I think also just as a matter of fairness in terms of what we've asked of everyone else.
Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions about the exposed columns. I know they're clad as the 90 pine. I don't know if it's 90 pine.
Spruce.
So does that come pre-finished, or is it sort of finished on site?
It comes finished.
It does.
Yeah.
So is it actually as blonde as what's rendered?
Yes.
Okay. And what?
This is the species.
Can I
You
see?
bring it forward.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in the rendering, there's also base detail all along the west, I think, north and east facades, which looks like some sort of
Stone.
stone.
Yeah, that material is here.
While we have this photo up, can I just interject that in terms of the comments that were made last month and the changes, it's a very dramatic and positive response to the comments that were made on the entrance, and very positive response that I feel.
And I would agree, I like the articulation of.
Oh, you read it back?
Never saw it.
Oh, you never saw it?
Never saw it.
That's funny.
Wait, I'm
Keep
so
it away.
sorry.
For gathering materials there.
I had suggested art on this wall, but I really appreciate the articulation of the brick and looking at the material as the art instead of actually placing the art on that wall. So I think that's a very positive solution to the comment.
Do you want this back?
No, I don't.
Just want to make sure I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, go ahead.
This is raw, unfinished.
Yes.
So not characteristic of what's going to be there.
There will be like a coat applied to it. So that's like what the CLT will look like. It's all the same species, but there will be like a transparent waterproofing coat.
So I'm skeptical that it's not going to look as blonde. It's going to be significantly more yellow because of the finish you're going to apply to it. I'm warning you.
Mhm.
Like, not from our perspective, just like you're going to get a different finish than this.
From our experience, we have a large portfolio consistent of mass timber.
Yeah.
We have applied the mass timber to the exterior elements in the past. Our experience is that you get a little bit of a patina and it starts to silver a little bit, and it really starts to soften and really complement the rest of the palette that's being proposed.
Also, why so naughty?
It may just be that exact cut, but
I mean, the
nonetheless.
renderings look pretty naughty.
Oh, I see. You're saying the renderings are naughty relative to the sample.
No, I'm saying they're both
They're
naughty.
both naughty.
They're very aggressive.
Gotcha.
Naughty and naughty, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm just wondering, like,
Is anyone else streaming today?
to people of a
I'm
certain
writing it
age, it's harkens back to the 70s.
If you talk to a lot of lumber producers,
Yeah.
when we hosted the Ohio Forestry Association, was at our mass timber building, and a lot of them were looking at the building, and they shared the same opinion. They're like, why are they using that type of lumber?
Yeah.
You know,
but this is cladding, right, on those
yeah, but
exterior columns.
it's similar.
It could be different.
I think it's lost formwork. My understanding from what Amy said is it's essentially the formwork they're going to cast the concrete column in. So, you're not going to use
So you're
select.
sort of stuck with green.
Yeah, you're not going to use select grade wood for essentially formwork. I mean, I think it's clever. They're using it and leaving it in place, which I think is pretty clever.
Yeah, it's clever. I'm glad I asked about it.
Yeah.
But they will, in cases they will, though, use an actual micro CLT where it's similar to that, where it's stuff that's not left in place. Well, they actually basically, it's a sheared CLT panel, which is similar in appearance, and it's just the type of grade wood that they use
Yeah.
in regards to the process. And it's a younger growth timber as well, is that they're using for it. So you do kind of, you don't have the span of the, it's a smaller tree as well. You're looking at a 10-year growth tree versus an older growth tree is what they're using for CLT. So that's where you see some of the bunching of the branches as well.
Gotcha.
And that's where some of that nodding comes from. But yeah, I did, the one thing I wasn't going to correct in regards to my statement, and he did it for me, is you will see a grain of it slightly. It just happens with exposed mass timber.
Now I understand that it's a product of the construction as opposed to a purely aesthetic decision.
Yeah. But part of it's also that as well.
In this particular instance, as Keone said, the framing of the concrete column, and this is the actual formwork, right, for that front column.
It's not the traditional form board that you see for any typical concrete installation. It's intentional that the finished product is embedded in the concrete when the formwork is removed.
Yeah. It's intentional.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not communicating.
Well, I guess my only other thought is that when you're thinking about traditional formwork, the stuff's beat up. It's meant to kind of reuse, rip off, reuse, apply it to another application. But yeah, in this instance, it's going to be a more polished, finished material.
It's better than the formwork we're seeing on the extensive highway construction.
Yes,
of course,
yes.
yes.
That's my point. That's exactly it.
Absolutely.
What was this, the heavy sample that was sent? What is that? Where does that go?
This is the stone base that you see at the bottoms of the columns and then along the bottoms of the brick.
Okay, so my comment about the, we call it specialty concrete or something that's the kind of the entrance area. What kind of concrete is that? Because I think the city standard for the sidewalk is buff wash concrete, which kind of has the appearance of like limestone along. If it's done right, it's actually for concrete looks great. But what kind of finish is this? So I guess I'll just cut to the chase. I don't even want it to be concrete, and the reason is because it's just not different enough. I mean, this is like you're celebrating the entrance. My concern is that twofold really. One, it's going to look, if it's just a colored concrete looks like hell. I mean, it just never looks right. Secondly, if it gets damaged, you're always going to see where you try and patch it because it weathers and I think you want to go with some kind of paper there.
Looks like there is a paper there.
No, that's just the hatch pattern that they use. That's what I thought initially, but it's if you look at the coated note, it's just concrete. I think you need to rethink that in terms of what that material is. That I think could go nicely with the Flint Hills. So something that's got some texture to it, I think would not, maybe be a good choice.
Yeah, I think in the rendering, it was kind of an adjustment with the color and maybe a closer patterning of joints to depict that change and transition. But yeah, I appreciate the comment there that pavers could be considered.
So since I'm on a roll, I'm going to finish. So
Sure.
we go to the my computer died. I guess we could start out with the landscape plan.
Okay.
I
Don't
didn't
click on
get
anything.
It's pretty early in this. One more. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, that one right there. That's fine. So I think I'm going to go to the screen. So a couple of things. One, I know that this is going to get rethought based on where the spacing of the accessible stalls, but I don't think you want to do flowering trees or those want to be shade trees. They're too small scale. It's a huge building. It's a big street. If you want to use those back here or by the end, that's fine. But I think those want to be. I don't think they want to match species. I'm going to tell you what to do, but they don't want to be red buzz. I think is what you've got. Just a small ornamental tree. I think it's just way not nearly big enough scale. And I think this planter, again, let's assume it stays the way it is. I would move those big trees out more to the edge. I think that these are big enough. You could warrant 2 trees per thing. It's going to look a lot better than just one. And then if you pan down, the only other thing I'm really not on board with is, I don't know what this is, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't relate to anything. So I respect the fact that you've left it off of High Street. I know we're at a bit of a lane transition here. So I got a couple of concerns. One, there's nothing arc or curvilinear on the building at all. I don't think it fundamentally relates to anything on the building. And then secondly, when you come to a point like this, my concern is people will jaywalk and cut across. You're going to basically end up with a dead zone at every single one of those. What I would suggest you do is maybe just parallel the building that they're going to transition down to narrow, so you've just got these segmented planters. Just something way simpler. I think it's just going to look a lot better. So I don't mean to be telling your business, but I think that needs to be rethought. So
Yeah.
What are they? Are they curves in the landscaping?
Yes.
it's just a curved bed.
Yeah, and from what I understand, our landscape architect had proposed this layout. There's some existing bike racks within the right of way. Each of those points is an existing bike rack. I think it may not be called out there, but it's on the site plan.
Maybe that's one here.
Yeah, and so
I wouldn't let a bike rack
Of course,
dictate this
yeah.
streetscape for a brand new 13-story. I'm like, the hell with it. Just rip it out and put it where you want it. I mean,
Yep.
So here's the other thing I'm curious about. There's a note here, 5-inch tree. Are you proposing? No, you're not.
So there are two.
Those are 2 5-inch trees that are there.
Yes.
You're not thinking you're going to save those?
No.
Okay, good, because you're not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, our landscape architect made us aware of the damage and the poor health of those existing trees. So
I don't know this. I should know this, but I don't know if you can get away 1 inch. I mean, I can't make you do more than the city standard, but a 1.5-inch caliber tree, you could almost yank it out of the ground with 2. I mean, that's tiny. It should be 3. It's not that much money. I mean,
Yeah, we'll put a 3 in. We'll
Okay.
put 3 in. I appreciate that. We'll commit to a 3.
I like the trees.
Yeah.
I like that.
Especially with the Mass Timber building. We really
Exactly.
wanted the right.
homage.
Yeah, we really wanted the right input in regards to it. We talked about landscaping and
Yep.
said, we're gonna most likely, we anticipated feedback on this, and we said, let's be ready to adjust it and proceed forward with it. So, appreciate that.
Can we go to the second story?
Garden?
That sheet, yeah. So the 16 by 48 plank paver, are those masonry pavers? Those?
Yeah, they're not going to be wood. They're like a ceramic or stone.
Okay. So they're just on pedestals, on screw jack pedestals of some kind?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the pavers to the left of that, those are another type of paver on a jack system as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the difference between the two materials is where the wood vertical pavers are. It's under the building, so that's kind of a covered area, and then
Gotcha,
the central
okay.
courtyard is.
I can see your columns on the outboard, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the area, I have to go back to the screen. Just curious. So I don't know if you've got a section through this. I mean, presumably there's a 42-inch or whatever type of guard. It's not translucent, is it? I mean, or transparent? Is it solid, or is it?
we're proposing a glass windscreen.
It's glass. So
And then there's a drink rail behind that, so it's like a.
I saw that. So okay.
I think it may be like slide.
So the drink rail's here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the condition? Can you pan down just a little bit, Steph? Is that a glass panel as well? So you walk up to the edge to the street. Is that what's that?
Yeah, there's a glass panel on top of like a stone parapet that will match this.
Which matches this basically, that section there,
Yeah.
roughly? Okay.
The landscape drawing isn't showing the parapet correctly, so like outboard of the columns, that's where the line will. So it'll be about like a foot of space before the glass rail and then the deck.
Okay.
On the south side of the building, number one, I should say I appreciate the development of all the elevations. But on the south side of the building, I also appreciate the way you tucked in the ethos there. If you had to use a less costly material, you stuck it in well. And it's nice that it comes up and becomes a mechanical screen. think that's really well done. But on the south side of the building, on the ground floor level, do you think that's enough lights back there? I know you have them over key doors. It just seems kind of blank back there, and there's a lack of articulation as there is on the north side of the building. Right? And I'm curious as to what your thoughts on that side of the building are.
Is it a concern of just sufficient light levels?
Sufficient light levels and, I don't know, respect for the street. I don't even really know, I'm not overly familiar about what's across the street on that side.
It's another building.
Yeah, we've got a neighboring building to the south, so it's going to be fairly narrow. I think we're 6 feet set back from our property line, and our neighbors slightly set back from theirs, so it's just going to be a relatively narrow walkway between the two buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any little astroturf path?
Yeah, along the southwest corner, there's a little synthetic turf strip for dog run. And that's all fenced in and enclosed. Like the two corners, the southwest and southeast corners of the building will be fenced to limit access in between the two buildings.
Okay. That helps.
Where is that? I don't know if I've seen that one.
Yeah, if you go back to the landscape plan, it may keep going. Those are lighting, but yep, that one. So if you zoom in the southeast and southwest corners, you'll see. There we go. Proposed gates, artificial turf, and then the concrete hatch that provides access to some of those back of the house spaces.
Oh, okay, but that's not in the rendering of like a 3D thing or anything like that, right?
Those points are. It was difficult to capture those exact areas.
Yeah, it's tucked right in, right with the adjacent. So this is really the setback with the adjacent property right to the south.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really capturing that dead space along there, which would almost be like a small alleyway. So it was really capturing or making use of it.
And will the lights be on motion sensors, you think?
I think they were.
Yeah, I think they'd be on because
Just on all the
you don't want that space to get very dark.
The neighboring building, the first story is all mechanical in the parking garage, so it won't be, like, it's a downlight, so it won't be affecting any of the residential units.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember, did you all provide the spec for like that, whatever that fence gate material is that buried back there?
I don't believe so.
You would need that as well?
I do agree about the lights though outside, especially if they are letting their dog out, and that is like a spot where they're like just like thinking about myself at 10:30 at night, letting my dog out. It'd probably be nice if it was lit up and represented the way the rest of the building kind of looks, so I would kind of consider that.
Absolutely.
And make it kind of, even though a lot of other people can't see it, I feel like those residents will still really appreciate it.
Is there any comment from the board while we're talking about this section with this gate being, looks like flush with the front of the building, is there any desire to have that set back at all?
I guess I wonder, how are you going to keep people from, like, how high is this gate going to be, to keep people from accessing it, I guess, if they don't live there? Like, how are you?
I mean, 6 foot. Yeah, it's not going to be like your 42-inch fall protection gate.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit taller.
yeah.
What would the recommendation be? How to handle that along high? Because I see that right now. I have some concerns about it.
For sure.
I would just, I need to understand if you were to cut a section between your building and the building to the south, just how big is it? Because I think the building to the south, I know it's a 5 or 6 story building, I believe, but I don't know dimensionally, is it 20 feet? I don't know how far. I was trying to call this, I'm having really a lot of trouble with my phone right now. I was going to call it the satellite center. That building shows up, the one that Sullivan Brook did. you can kind of see it in the, I just don't have a sense of spatially how much room we're talking about.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's right there. I mean, I know that our building is set back the 6 feet from the property line. I think the building is set back 5 or 6 feet. So
Okay, so
in
12
total,
feet,
it could
10 or 12 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I don't know what they did, what their treatment was, so
it's a concrete strip that aligns the north edge of their building footprint, and they've got a kind of a metal fence.
okay, so can we go back to the plan real quick? Maybe we can all understand this. So I guess my question is then, so if this is their building,
The next one up is probably, yep, there you go.
okay, so let's say let's just say that's their building there. Can you, is there anything, do they have like a fence here and a fence where they, I mean, can you just walk off the high street and walk, recognizing your buildings, I mean, I recognize it's not the same condition, but if you were, are you proposing a fence here, a gate? You are, right? Is that yours or is that theirs?
They have an existing fence there, but it's not on High Street, so it's just along the alley dividing the property.
What's it made of?
It's like a 6-foot vertical black fence.
Like aluminum, like a decorative aluminum picket kind of?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's all concrete right behind that?
Hmm. Yeah, it's like just a strip of concrete along their property.
So right now, there's nothing that turns to hit their building, right? It's just this thing that divides, so you can walk in here if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think long-term, that's going to be problematic for both buildings. I mean, I think you want to seal this off. And on the one hand, I'm not really fond of this being in line with the building, but having said that, my concern is if you set it back and you're just creating a spot for someone to hide, someone to camp out, someone, it's like, so.
2 feet.
Okay, you can't lay down in 2 feet.
Yeah, just push it 2 feet back, just enough to create some relief.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. But I do think long-term that either you or the city, someone needs to have a conversation with the landowner to the south and say, this is not a good condition for either property to have this as a weird cut through for people who don't belong to either building and they're just kind of passing through. That's just,
Yeah, we can do that.
I could see other people, like maybe the residents utilizing it if it was done properly, like if it had some, art on the walls, or if you did really kind of populate that space with the residents and kind of gave that to them. I could see people kind of helping keep that monitored for you, so that way it's not something that you're just dealing with alone, so.
So on that subject though, I mean, what are these for building maintenance or are these for, I mean, who's going to use these doors?
Yeah, the 3 doors that are on the left, just before that.
These 3.
Yep, those.
I was going to go to the floor plan, the first floor, so you
Okay,
can
that's
see the
fine,
uses on
that's
the
fine.
inside.
I think you got to go
Going
down.
that
Yeah, it's further.
Building engineer.
There you go. Yeah, maintenance, building engineer, back of house space.
Okay.
The door that's further to the right
This one.
is utilized as an exit only.
Oh, emergency.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's a fire, there's something,
Yeah.
that's where they're going to come out.
Yep.
That's your issue.
I mean, so I guess,
Wait, where's the dog door then? How do you go out to it?
That's reflected in the landscape plans. It's just below where you see that generator space.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just on the other side of that wall would be the dog run.
So technically, the doors could stay locked, right? Like
Yeah.
a person could get out there, you could pass the door as long as you
Yeah.
don't have access.
okay, so my question is, this is an emergency exit to come out, so presumably this gate's locked, is it going to have like a push thing on it to where it like, so it doesn't have a card key to where residents could come and unlock that thing and get, right?
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be an operations thing, but I can't imagine that would be preferred by.
Okay. I guess
By
my whole
operations.
point of this is,
Yeah.
this is a service, basically service alley. It's nothing special, okay? So I just think it wants to be secured. That's, okay. I think we're on the same page about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Fair enough, good point, thank you. And we'll talk that through on our end, and we'll make sure we're clear on it, because yeah, it's a good point. And we'll make sure that it's set properly.
And just to clarify, so there is a space there potentially for dogs, but none of these doors look like
That's to
they're
the end.
over here though, right? But
It's not in that.
Oh, it's not, that part's not in the fence area. It is. though.
Oh, no, I meant that door is not pictured on that plan.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, if you scroll back to the landscape plan, I think that's back the other direction. Sorry. Yeah. Keep going. There we go. Okay. So if you're a resident and you had a dog and you're looking to use that space, you can utilize the elevators within the tower, go out the rideshare lobby, down Wall Street, and into that area that's labeled as artificial turf.
It'd be cool if it had like string lights or something to kind of,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know, just give it some love.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Do you have any other questions for us, or are we voting, or what?
They are requesting a vote, so it sounds to me like I'm hearing a continuation.
I mean, that's my inclination, partly just out of fairness to everything else that's come before us. I think a little bit more documentation can be provided. I would suggest typical details at window, head, jamb, and sills, the kind of major conditions, and like, you've got those very nice horizontal trims, show us that you're actually doing that.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, and any specialized work that you're doing, like on the brick or whatever, we should see all that.
because I think, again, the point is that the documents that we stamp as approval is what you're held to build. If those things are not in the documents, then you don't have to build them. So I've told you something. But, we want you to build what you've promised to build by way of the renderings. So the significant features shown in the renderings that, you've told us you're going to do, they look great, we love it. You have to show that in a drawing that can be stamped.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be, 100% totally figured out, but it should be enough that we know, that's either an extruded aluminum trim or break metal at your bottoms where the soffits are, or the sills or whatever. Just enough to tell us, it's out that far, and it's painted aluminum, Podmore, or whatever it is.
And then I know we just spent some time talking about this, but some additional detail here. What is the fence look like? What is the height? Even if it's just a zoomed in elevation of, that building edge compared to the next building edge, and some dimensions on that, and then the spec for whatever the fence is really that as well.
And then if you change the material at the kind of building entrance to the northeast corner of the fresh, you try to bring a sample or a really good, what exactly is that if you're, it's not going to be decorative concrete.
For the surface, for the walkable surface treatment. Understood.
But just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, I mean, we're moving in the right direction from a design standpoint.
Yeah.
And we just need to document what we're going to verify and be able to
Yeah,
have something that holds us accountable in regards to what we're going to deliver.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
mean,
that's reasonable.
From my perspective, what's in the renderings looks good. It's a nice design, it's handsome. As you said, just want to be able to see enough documentation that holds you to that.
Okay, that's fair. Appreciate that. And then Stephanie, in regards to, I know we did the demo plan as well. Do those go together, or are those separate things, or how does the question from a procedural standpoint?
It was submitted on one application. I think that it would still all be treated as one project.
Okay.
I would say, do you all, so it was a staff recommended condition that they do the HABs line report for that building quarter. Do you all think, is that something you will be requesting of them? Because that's something you guys can get started on now. It's going to be an expectation. That way that when you do get your approval, and if that were to be a condition, you already have it done.
And we're committed to do that. We'll do the HAP site.
Okay.
We'll commit to do that.
So that would need to be done before the demo can proceed anyways.
But I think we don't have purview over demo. So I would say if you, in good faith, do what staff asks, do the HAPS report, you can demo the site. We don't have purview over demolition.
He's also not recommending it though as well.
What's that?
But are you, so it sounds like you're like also saying you can, but you can't.
Yeah, so technically this board doesn't have demolition
No,
control like
yeah.
some other boards do in the city. So that like the historic
commission
boards
does.
on like in East Franklinton. So this board doesn't have demolition control, but as Emma said, or whoever said that, I apologize, in good faith effort, we would encourage you to not do it until we have the HABSI report approved.
Yeah, well, no, we'll,
I guess all I'm saying is we don't have purview over demos, so I think in good faith, my recommendation is in good faith, they do the HABS life report for you, and then if they want to proceed with a demo, that's a $50 removal start once the city is actually functioning.
yes, and we, in good faith, we will do the HAB site report. Yeah, we'll work with you on that.
The only question I had on the north and west facades, did you guys have any additional feedback since that was what we talked about last time?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, my computer stopped working, so thanks for driving that, Steph.
We're all just doing our best.
Just a point of, I think this is the east facade, just a point of clarification, that brick on the east facade rendering the lighting is so whitewashed.
Yeah.
I had to look at it like.
Yeah, it's this brick.
Yeah, I know. Just-
Yeah. We've been trying to adjust that, but
Yeah, it just looks so much less blonde than all the other renderings. It just, I had to check it 3 times to make sure it was the same thing. Neither here nor there.
You're like, change the program.
Yeah, I think West looks better. I think it's more in character with the rest of the building. It looks less like that. It looks good.
Yeah.
thanks.
I like the sky. It's really pretty.
We tried.
And I have one last question, because I know your computers are down. To make next month's meeting, when do you need the design set by? So,
Great question.
Great question.
Great question. So technically, if we were not living in the end times right now, and with technology, the application deadline for you all would be next Friday anyways. And I'm leaving for vacation tonight, so Nadine is running the show next week. But so I would say let's see how it goes. Let's still plan on Friday being the application
tomorrow.
deadline.
Okay.
Next Friday being the application deadline for this, and then just stay in contact. Like if you want to call Nadine, I think we have a little disclaimer on the website now that basically application deadlines don't exist because of this chaos, so we can be flexible.
Okay.
But I think as long as we know that if we have something from you, assuming technology is back working, that if we have something from you all by next Friday and the indication that you're planning to come back next month, I think we can be very flexible. Having
That's realistic.
I would like to see those adjustments with Ninth, though, if possible. Like what Kelly was talking about, the landscaping, and if you were to have an ADA spot, like how that would look. So, just want that.
And we'll plan on coming back next month, and
Sweet.
we'll do that.
Do we need to vote to continue? Do I have a motion to continue, please?
I'll make a motion to continue.
Second.
Okay, motion to continue by Mr. Mather, seconded by Mr. Fleming. Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gundelman?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Reeds?
Yes.
Mr. Sublette?
Yes.
And Mr. Mather?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Word.
Excellent progress. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for the feedback.
Thank
Much
you for carrying
appreciated.
those heavy things.
All the way from Cleveland.
Seriously?
Which moves us to COA 240062, 1502 North High Street.
And it's been brought to my attention that these are upside down pre-falls, so please turn your heads accordingly. And we're going to flip them around on this screen, so.
One more sample up here.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
So
Off the screen.
we have 1502 North High Street. The applicant is requesting review and action on a proposed sign refacing of an existing projecting sign. The submission includes a site plan and details of the new sign base. Which you see here. Existing projecting sign, and just replacing this This was just outside of my ability to staff approve, so that's why it's before you today. The proposal is generally consistent with recommendations of the University District Plan. The plan expresses a preference for projecting signs with simple messaging that includes architectural elements and is not duplicative of other signage. The proposal is consistent with these guidelines. However, the plan also specifies that lettering should be between 4 inches and 10 inches, whereas the proposed design includes some that are 2 inches. Despite the inconsistency with the plan recommendation, staff recommends support of the proposal as the smaller font is the overall design and is supplemental to the name of the business. Staff recommends support without opposition.
Okay. Need to swear you in real quick?
Fire
Swear
away.
firm, tell the truth, and the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to the city's review of the?
Not necessarily. Sorry, this is pretty boring to follow up the last one. So that's.
Not first.
No, it's fine. I got out of work early, so I'm cool with it. Just refacing the existing sign there. We did that one previously. I do notice on the rendering on the building that Asian Fusion's actually, I don't see it on there. I'm sorry if I missed that, but yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Oh, you can see it, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, it looks better printed on my thing, so sorry. I didn't know if that was my fault or not.
What's the
but-
white logo?
It's their logo, I guess. I'm not totally sure. Maybe they want to make sure the sign's on or something, so it lights up white, so I'm not totally sure. But just a refacing of existing business there. So they just rebranded and just trying to put a new face in there. So
Is there really supposed to be a light bulb in it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pretty crazy. So maybe they're open late. I see them on DoorDash at like 2 a.m. So maybe that's why.
What's the bracket that you're going to use to attach it? Is that something that we also need to discuss?
It's already there. All
Yeah,
I'm
it's
doing is
existing.
replacing the
They're just-
sign piece.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Normally, yes. If it were a brand new sign.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
I mean, it's puzzling, but far be it from me to tell them how to brand their business. I'm fine with it.
I don't have any problems with it, do you?
Then do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
That was a motion to approve by Mr. Sublette, seconded by Mr. Mather. Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Sublette? Did you say yes?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we were chatting.
Yeah, we were chatting
Sorry.
Sorry.
The light bulb.
Yeah.
Mr. Mather? Okay, motion carries.
Sweet.
Sweet
Thanks for
guys.
hanging out the whole time. For
Hey,
Okay.
I'm loving it. Just checking my email. Don't worry. Thanks, guys. Have
All
a
right,
good one.
take
Have a
care.
good one.
Thank you.
Staff approvals.
Call. Class got paid attention.
That's right, that one's really funny.
We have 3 of them, and you all probably have better access to them than I do. If you have any specific questions, I can go to the individual folders to pull them up, but graphics and then some minor building alterations.
When you click on the staff approvals, are you supposed to click on the UID-24-07?
Yes.
Okay, because
The
when I...
address just is supposed to take you to the Google Maps, like
Okay.
the street view.
Yeah,
of it.
okay. Sometimes when I click on that, it just doesn't open up the... Does anybody else have that problem?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Any questions on this?
I don't have any.
So we need a
Does
motion.
anyone have any questions about the staff approvals?
It's a little fussy today.
Open dot.
Do I have a motion?
Although actually, I think the one you approved, yes, sushi, I think is even more puzzling than light bulb.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That was not the original submission. They made some modifications to make it staff approval. There were large thumbs involved. So,
I thought matcha maybe was more puzzling.
oh, no, it is worse.
Okay.
The thing with the Machimi, the only reason why I'm like, that would just be really tough is that it looks like it's in between two residential windows. Is that true or no? Like, is there already a sign that's already been there?
That was about 2 minutes ago.
Well, then the ones further down are boarded up, so. Well, it's an occupied residence.
I mean, yeah, it's just poorly composed.
So I didn't know, like, is there a sign, are you there?
I do not believe there's an existing sign there.
I don't know if I would be down for approving something that's in between two residential windows. So
I mean, that Indian kitchen sign is huge. It's not between two residential windows.
yeah, and they can at least close their blinds and not have it shining through the side of it, though. You know what I mean?
I think that's Indian Kitchen actually up there. The,
Oh, they're on two?
it's technically ground, but like you gotta walk up.
Up.
It's, because this is isn't this the location where, what the heck was that place called? The kind of ratty sandwich shop.
Which one?
There's so many ratty sandwich shops. I mean,
Which one?
Johnny Oaks, maybe?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. So like I lived a block and a half away from
Okay,
Yeah, so
gotcha, okay.
the restaurant,
I see
the
it.
Indian restaurant's kind of occupies the windows with the sun
Have
goes.
you ever eaten there?
Once it was mediocre.
Okay.
That was years ago.
So I don't know if I need, like, if that matters or not, but, like, I don't know if you just need majority rules, but I probably won't vote yes for that, but I don't know if that matters.
That's fine, I mean,
Yeah, so these have technically already been approved and issued, so the action you all take on it is just to adopt it to the record.
I will adopt the smooth, poor graphic decisions into the record.
We have no purview over content.
I know, that's why I'm saying that. I mean, I get that, the Supreme Court case, they really didn't do anyone any favors, because if they gave us purview, we could have made these slightly less awful. I move to approve the staff approved applications.
Second.
That was a motion by Mr. Fleming, seconded by Mr. Sublette. Mr. Fleming?
Yes.
Ms. Gunzelman?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
2 out of 3, can I say that?
You can say no.
You can just say no.
No.
Mr. Reeves?
Yes.
Mr. Sublette?
Yes.
And Mr. Mather?
Yes.
Motion carries. With that, you may adjourn us.
I say we adjourn.